Hi, welcome to Writings and Lessons. Today I am in Missouri at the home where I grew up and I'm excited to be filming here. Today's lesson is the fourth in a series of lessons about seventh chords, starting with lesson 15 through lesson 18 today. Each lesson describes and explains a different type of seventh chord. And as I explained in earlier lessons, the theory of seventh chords and how they're communicated in reality, especially in the number system, and the common ways they're played may seem to conflict. So today I'm going to start explaining the theory, and while these lessons are more about hands-on practical playing and I don't dig deep into theory, I do want to explain the theory so that you'll understand, and then we'll go into a chart that documents seventh chords like you will typically see them in number charts in a variety of styles. So I also wanted to point out that in all of these lessons, and today is no exception, please look at the handout. It's in a link below this video. And for example, in this lesson, all four seventh chords are illustrated, so you can see how each one is played using C major as an example. If you like the content of this channel, it always helps promote the channel and get the content out to more people if you hit the like button, if you subscribe to my channel, make comments. All of those things help to support it, and I really appreciate it. Also, feel free to email me at writingsandlessons@gmail.com. That email address is also in a link below. You could also hit a link below this to see all of the YouTube lessons that I've done. Each lesson has a handout and that summarizes the lesson, and a copy of the chart used. In a lot of the lessons I've used the same song, which illustrates that one song can have an infinite amount of arrangements just depending on how you want to play it. So if you're new to playing piano, I recommend that you go to lesson 1 and work your way through. So let's get started and talk about diminished seventh chords. Again, I just wanted to remind you that this handout that is attached in a link below the video literally illustrates all of the seventh chords. So that may be a nice resource for you as you're learning. So let's start talking about this. So I'm going to use C major as an example. Lesson 1, I introduced C major chord, and everything we've done so far is in C, which is also the 1 chord, played like this. A seventh chord adds a 4th note to the chord, whether it's a minor chord or a major chord or a diminished chord. It's adding, this is also called a triad sometimes, it's adding a 4th note. So in the scale of C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the major 7 is this note. So a major 7th chord plays the major triad with the major 7 chord, which is part of the C scale. A minor 7 would be here. And in the Nashville system, when someone says a 7th chord, what they're referring to is a major triad with a minor 7. Often that is leading your ears to a 4 chord. Not always, but often. So again, in the number system, this is called a 7th chord. And out of the 7th chords that we've introduced, this is probably the most commonly used. It is written with just a 7, like an exponent, and I have a lesson that was dedicated to that type of chord. A minor 7, which was lesson 17, is a minor triad with a minor 7. and that was in lesson 17. Today we're going to talk about a diminished seventh chord. So there's a lesson in the past that explains diminished chords. A diminished chord, you take these two notes and go down a half step. And when you add a diminished 7, you go to this note, and that is a diminished seventh chord. So again, let's look at just the seventh notes. This is a major 7. This is B. B flat is a minor 7. And B double flat is a diminished 7. And this is normally called an A, and it's fine because it's the same note. But theoretically, the 7 is supposed to be communicated as a B. So in theory, this would be called a B double flat. So B flat, B double flat. So theoretically, this would be spelled C, E flat, G flat, B double flat. So let's go to G. You can make a diminished chord or diminished seventh chord with any triad. So this is our 5 chord that we've been using in our lessons. This is G major. So to make it diminished, you take these two notes and go down half a step. And the diminished seventh chord looks like this. So this is G. This is the major 7. This note is the minor 7. And this note is the diminished 7. So this would be spelled G, B flat, D flat, F flat. Now let's look at the chart. So I've added two diminished seventh chords. A diminished seventh chord is written, the circle that looks like a degree sign means diminished. And for a diminished seventh chord, you add the degree sign that means diminished and then a 7 by it, which tells you it's a diminished seventh chord. So this is what I was talking about earlier. Typically, in most types of music that the number system is used in, what happens with a diminished chord is it goes up to a sharp. So this is the C, this is C diminished. But what you normally see in most number charts with diminished seventh is you go from C to C sharp diminished. So that's just taking C sharp, moving these two notes down to turn it into a diminished chord. The easiest way to think about this, and I guess you could call it a hack, here's your C major. To play a C diminished seventh chord or a 1 diminished seventh chord, move your thumb up 1. So your C chord stays the same, your 1 chord stays the same, and you just move this note up a half step. Your left hand also moves up a half step. So when you're playing, that's a diminished chord. When you're playing a diminished 7, which is what we have here, a 1 sharp diminished 7, you go, it goes from 1 to 1 sharp diminished 7. Same thing here. You see this a lot with 4 chords in country, worship music, Southern gospel. It's just very, very common. So here's our 4 chord. A 4 sharp diminished 7 looks like this. We just move our thumb up to make it a 4 sharp diminished, and then we add our 7th chord. So what you hear in a lot of songs is you have a 4 chord, which I've got here, then it goes to a 4 sharp diminished 7. So 4 sharp diminished 7. One other thing I wanted to point out in this lesson, we have 2 major and 2 minor. 2 major anytime there's a dash, it means it's a minor chord. So here's a 2 without a minor chord. So that looks like D, F sharp, A. So that's a D major, because we're in C. C is 1, D is 2. So a D major is spelled D, F sharp, A. This was discussed and introduced in an earlier lesson. A 2 minor, the dash means it's minor. It's spelled D, F, A. And it also has a 7, which is a minor 7. So a D minor 7 is spelled D, F, A, C. The 6 is also major, so there's not a dash. So a 6 major is spelled A, C sharp, E. If it were 6 minor, it would look like this, but there's not a dash, so that means it's major, and it's spelled A, C sharp, E. This song is in 3/4, so that means every measure or bar gets 3 beats. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, etc. Every number on this chart represents a measure that has 3 counts. So let's just play through this. Later we'll play it with the metronome with my daughter Chloe singing. But for now, let's just play through all the chords. So it starts out with a 1 chord. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Second line. Now we're going to 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Here's the 1 major. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So there's the 1 sharp diminished 7. So let's go back here and play that again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And here's the 2 minor 7. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Back to the 3rd line. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now 2 major. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 4th line. 4 major. 4 sharp diminished. 7. 1, 2, 3. A major. 1, 2, 3. D major or 2 major. And then 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to play this with a metronome. The time signature on the chart is documented at 3/4, and so I have the time signature on the metronome at 3/4, and I have the tempo set at 80. So my daughter's going to sing this, and we will play it in time, just as I showed you earlier from the chart. 1, 2, 3.
Let me call you sweetheart. I'm in love with you. Let me hear you whisper that you love me too.
this is the last lesson in 7th chords. 7th chords can seem intimidating. I know the charts look a little bit more intimidating, but I think if you look at the handouts and you listen to each lesson, it will make sense. And part of this channel, it's definitely about teaching beginners, but also I'm hoping that it can be content that those of you who play can go to if you need a reminder of what does a diminished 7th chord look like, what does an augmented chord look like, etc. So I hope that you enjoy this lesson. Remember to keep practicing, and you don't have to understand all the theory to play. Sometimes you just keep playing and the theory will start to make sense. And there's a lot of players who aren't interested in the theory. They just want to play, and that is absolutely okay. So have fun with this lesson, and I hope that you stay tuned for the next lessons. Thanks.